He's at bay.
The Tampa Bay Bucks, Super Bowl 55.
Hello and welcome to episode 18 of the Bucks Banter podcast. I am your host, Collin Hallboom, and I am joined as always by my co-hosts, Bono's Ball and Captain Ron. Scott, Bodan, how are you doing this evening?
Doing good, man.
Good, man. How are you?
Doing well. I'm pretty excited. Tonight we're going to be focusing exclusively on the NFC West. So we have two divisions left to preview for this upcoming NFL season. And we've saved the best for last as we are going to cover the NFC West, which very well could be the best division in football this year. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I would agree. Vegas would agree as well based on over-under wins totals, which we'll get to. But, yeah, I think it's kind of a runaway best division, to be honest.
Yeah,
it's the one I'm going to be following probably the closest.
Yeah.
Like top to bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, let's not waste any time. Actually, before we do that, I do want to just make a comment because today the unfortunate news came out that Mark Cook passed away, who is an all-time great in terms of media personalities covering the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was with Pewter Report for the last 10 years, someone who I've followed his work very closely over the years, and he's always just been such a genuine passionate Buccaneer supporter and writer, interviewer. You know, everyone associated with the franchise is well aware of Mark Cook's work. And any of my interactions with him, I've never met him in person, but all my interactions with him were fantastic. He's an incredibly welcoming soul. So I just want to send out our condolences to Mark Cook and his family and to the guys over at Pewter Report. Shout out Mark Cook. And with that, we will move into our NFC West division preview. Last year, the Seattle Seahawks were the cream of the crop in terms of their records. And I want to start with the Seahawks. They're gonna have the 17th easiest schedule this season. None of these teams have super easy schedules, of course, because it's such a competitive division. You know, superstar quarterback in his prime, obviously Russell Wilson, that's a huge factor. There was a little bit of turmoil in the offseason in terms of whether Russ was happy with the direction of the franchise and the offense and defense potentially. But at least on the surface, those concerns seem to have been put to the side as not surprisingly, Russ is in training camp, ready to go. Obviously, a team with tremendous skill position, some of the best receivers in the league in terms of Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. Bo, they added your boy, your favorite tight end in league history, Gerald Everett. But this team has a very unreliable defense with very limited upside, I think. They even lost a couple guys. They've got this Jamal Adams issue where he's at camp but not participating. And that's going to be an issue because he wants big money. He wants to be the highest paid safety in the history of the game. And then this team also has unreliable play calling where it's not necessarily fitting the scheme to their personnel, which is just a huge flaw and a huge waste of talent. If you got Russell Wilson, I think you got to throw the ball and not just focus on pounding the rock with Chris Carson. So that's just a little summary, gentlemen. I don't know where you guys want to get started or what comes to mind when you hear the name Seattle Seahawks and when we try to forecast this upcoming season.
Yeah, I'll start. Their offense is hard to watch, like straight up. And they won the division, but then they lost that divisional round game to the Rams. And the backup quarterback that's name's escaping, is it John Swafford or the guy who came
Wolford,
in?
I think.
Wolford, yeah. And that they were just a train wreck on offense at the end of the year. And, you know, I was not surprised at all when the Rams went in and won that game because of how rough Seattle was the last few weeks. And like you said, Colin, it's painful play calling. It's like they're trying to get into 3rd and 6 every time, every series, which is just not conducive to winning, and especially not when you have a quarterback as talented as Wilson. And like, I know I'm not, sending out any crazy hot takes here, but they just don't let him play, and it seems like a waste to me. And I don't know, the whole Pete Carroll being a good coach, like I think the argument begins and ends there. I don't think he's good at all. Like maybe he's a good motivator, and we get it. He's super youthful, and he'll join drills, and like that's cool and everything. But they're a tough watch, and I think they've really underperformed. Now, to be fair, they've been relevant and and really and good basically since Wilson took the reins, right? So that's saying something because it's not easy to do, but they haven't done that much if you actually go back and look at everything relative to having a superstar quarterback in his prime. And hey, if Carroll finally opens up the offense, they finally let Wilson throw on first down, they finally mix in more play action and try to take more deep shots with Metcalf, then great, awesome. But until I see that, I'm not a believer in them as a real contender.
You know what's funny is I just wrote the records for last season, and I had 12-4. And then as I was going to read the record, I was like, "Wait, did I write that down wrong? Did they actually go 12-4?" So I just didn't say it. And
I was going to say that. I was going to say, like, yeah, you're totally right. Like, I think what we're doing here is good. Is what I'll start this off with. All the complaints that we have about this team are correct. We should be criticizing the process of how they've been playing in these games and how they end up losing these big games as well too. I don't know if it's Robert Mays, it's somebody at the Ringer has a classic tweet that Seattle's never played a normal game of football, and that's
Kevin Clark, I think.
Or maybe it's Kevin Clark. Yeah, you're right. But
True.
yeah, they were 12-4. If we can criticize the process, but we also have to realize that the result is there. They're 12-4 last year.
Yeah,
they did pretty well. Obviously, things kind of fell off for them at the end of the season. How do they address that? So I've got 3 points I can make here. So Shane Waldron comes in as their new OC and their new play caller. So he's going to be calling the majority of the plays or having the lead on play calling at least. From the Sean McVay tree of coaching, which is like ever extend, like it's basically poison ivy at this point in the NFL. But he's never called a regular season play. He's never called a regular season game ever. And I think if you listen to that Flying Coach podcast, another shout out for the Ringer, but Sean McVay basically kind of explained his process, being that he's the head play caller, but it's pretty processed. It's a pretty group consensus building process. And if nothing else, during Shane Waldron's time with the Rams, he learned how to run a balanced offense with the Rams, running the ball, passing the ball. He was only there for about 4 years, and in 3 of the years they were top 10 in running and in passing, so in rushing and passing. So I think him being this new voice, coming in from the outside and just being like, hey, we're kind of wasting Russ's prime here. We need to figure out a way to just make things a little bit easier for them. That's going to be a huge for this team next year. Again, I totally agree with you guys. Defense needs a ton of work. Like, nothing sticks out on that roster besides Bobby Wagner and Jamal Adams. But they ranked 16th in DVOA last year. I would assume they were in the 20s, if not like the late 20s, watching their games last year. And when I was looking back through like their game logs and everything, getting ready for this pod, they just basically always were. It was always coming down to their defense, like making a big stop to preserve a win. Whereas, like, I feel like the old Seahawks before this was always Russ having a game-winning drive, just going down the field, throwing the ball, and just being like, why weren't they just doing this all game? Russ would get them out to big leads, and it would just basically be the defense trying to hold it together for them to close out 2020. So, yeah, go ahead, Scott.
No, I was just going to say, like, because they're never playing these normal games, like to get to 12-4 is actually crazy. But to me, that's just due to regress back to the mean at some point. Like, you can't win every coin flip game. And the fact that they were 12-4 and, lost to a backup quarterback at home in the playoffs, I'm pretty sure they were only like a 3-point favorite in that game. So that's just showing you what the actual, what Vegas would have thought of them at the time, probably equated them closer to a 10-6 team or something like that, which once again, like, that's good. And props to them for being good and being more than competitive for this extended time. And so, and we've kind of touched on this sort of angle before. The criticism is coming from a place of, you're very good, but are you elite? And that's where I'm coming from with Seattle. The defense is not the same as it has been. I think people there's a 2-year grace period or so where they still thought the Legion of Boom was there and they were holding everyone to 13 points a game, but that's just not the case anymore. Like you said, 16th in DVOA. It's not bad, but it's not what they can hang their hat on. Meanwhile, they have this franchise Hall of Fame perennial Pro Bowl quarterback that they have the shackles on him. Let's face it. And I hope we see him. I hope we see him unleashed this year with the new OC, because why not? I want to see the best quarterbacks playing the best every single week, and especially in this division where you have 2 matchups with now Matthew Stafford, 2 matchups with Kyler Murray, and then let's see what happens with the Niners quarterback situation, either Garoppolo or Trey Lance. Like, I trust that. Well, I mean, we'll get to this, but I trust that Kyle Shanahan will make those intriguing quarterback matchups with whoever they end up going with, right, at whatever point in the season. So, I like Seattle. I'm cautiously optimistic about them, but we'll see. Do I like them the best in this division? We'll get to this later. No, I don't, but they're also going to get their home field back, which is huge. And I don't know, Boom, where are you?
Yeah, I think you summed it up really well. I mean, I like how you made the statement. We're being critical of them because they are a good team and they were 12-4, and that's where that criticism is coming from. I think that's, as long as people listening can understand that, then I don't know how you can argue with these critiques, because it's super valid and it's super true. And the fact that they've brought in a new offensive coordinator, regardless of his experience as an actual play caller, I mean, that's an important step to make, because something had to change in terms of their general philosophy on that side of the ball. Well, I guess we'll find out this year how much Pete Carroll is really involved in the offensive philosophy in that sense, right? The ground and pound approach, because the stubbornness of them to not adapt to their strengths on that side of the ball is truly bewildering to me. And this guy coming over from LA, or from working under McVay, I mean, he has heard Sean McVay, who I have the utmost respect for as an offensive mind, I'm sure, just compliment the shit out of Russell Wilson. And in practice, he's just been like, thank God they use him this way. Imagine they used him this way. So this guy's coming in knowing what McVay would have done. And I got to believe he's going to take some of that with him. And hopefully he's just a smart dude. I can't speak to anything about him. I don't know a damn thing. But
how about Bodan referring to Sean McVay as itchy, stupid poison ivy?
I'm referring to his the infection rate of his coaching tree,
right?
Which just seems to be taking over the league.
We know,
Across species analysis. That's a new one.
I was wondering.
That's new comparisons. Just wait.
Slid that one under the radar, Bodan.
Gonna get into the flora and fauna comparisons. Yeah, totally.
Follow me for all of your biology takes. I got a ton of biology takes on my Twitter. So I don't know if anybody's listening to this likes that, but
he's a big sports guy. Big sports guy, always has been.
And the only other thing I think, and we've all said it, but Russell Wilson's greatness is something to behold. And the fact they were 12-4 last year blows my mind, because I watched a lot of those games, and you're right. It's when he's scrambling around. It's when plays die. That's when he's at his best, and giving him that kind of freedom to be creative with the ball in his hands and make decisions. Those opportunities will still happen regardless of what was called in the huddle. So you never know, man. A quarterback like Russ can always surprise you. So, I mean,
before we move on, do you guys think we ever talk about Russ's trade request again? He seems like the ultimate teammate all of a sudden. He's apparently willing to take a shift in his contract for Dwayne Brown and Jamal Adams to keep them on a team. I don't know. What do you guys? Do you think he's ever gonna be? Are we ever gonna be in that spot we were, where it was just out of nowhere he's got these 5 teams?
Well, man, the league is so fleeting. Things change all the time. I thought, good for him. Use your leverage. Get some help, because they really weren't doing much around him for a couple years there, and it was just him. So like, not to bail on the question, Bo, but like let's just wait and see. Let's see how the season goes.
I also feel like it wasn't a formal trade request. Like I think it all started
It was
with a
really
comment he
weird.
made on the Dan Patrick show.
It was weird.
Where he acknowledged some things didn't go the way he wanted. And then I feel like, sometimes the media will take these things and run with it, and someone wants to report a team and just take the rumor to the next level. So, but in terms of his displeasure with the state of the franchise and the way where they're headed, I think this season's going to go a long way towards determining whether we see a disgruntled Russ, whether authentic or otherwise, in the future. Because if they have a year where they kind of really slide back down to potentially the bottom of this division, which could very well happen, then we'll see, won't we? But
do you guys cringe as much as I do whenever Russ talks?
yes,
He's tough, eh? Like
it's awkward. It's awkward.
Mr. Unlimited.
Yeah,
Unlimited.
it didn't even make sense. Like, what are you even talking about? It's so bad. Like the
so bad.
Dangerous Wilson. Like he kind of sucks. Like I'm actually there might not be a bigger athlete disparity between someone I love to watch play versus someone I kind of never want to have to hear from ever.
Ooh, that'd be a good list. Like for us to rank that. I like where you're headed there.
Tough hang.
Yeah.
A no hang, basically.
I'd rather.
Well, come on. If we're in Vegas and we see Russell Wilson, we're all running up to him and being like, "Hey," asking him, like, "Russ, what's going on?" Whatever.
No.
But I feel like then we're just like, all right, we're gonna head this way. You go along with it. Like, I feel like he has no issues with like being like overrun with fans, or like at least adult fans. I'm sure kids love him.
I believe Scott when he says no, because I think
don't
if
think I
anything,
would.
I believe
I
him.
wouldn't give him the satisfaction.
Yeah.
Really?
If anything, Scott would be like, "Oh, I think that's Chris Carson's quarterback."
Yeah. Or
like
I call him something like Randall Weston or something like just to see if he notices. Yeah. Hey, Randall, what's up? You still playing fullback? Yeah.
The thing with Russ's personality, Cap, too, is like I would just rather him embrace the wholesome dork that he really is, and not like trend on like trying to be cool and trying not to.
Yeah,
it feels disingenuous, and he's got this identity crisis unfolding before our eyes.
That's my thing too. And like, just pick one. I love how I'm calling him a loser. He's worth like whatever, and he's married to Sierra. But total plug, obviously.
He's so good. He's so good at
so
football.
Good. He's so good.
I'm saying what up to you, Russ. Don't listen to these guys.
Oh, are you kidding me? Me too. I'd be showing him my Facebook name.
How about the NC State coach giving him the boot because they had Mike Glennon waiting in the wings, and Wilson went and played minor league baseball every offseason, so they just asked him not to come back.
Yeah. It just reminds me of like Justin Fields stuff, or like just when you got a better quarterback sitting there, and
there's only one of them plays, right? It's tough.
Yeah.
It's such a tough position.
And it's hindsight's 2020. It's the same idea as with trades. Like these coaches are making these decisions, and they're gonna get burned if you're gonna take it on yourself to bring in these elite prospects at that position. You're gonna have to pick one at a point.
Yeah.
With the state of transfers in college football and all that.
Sorry, and quick tangent on that. I love the guys who get killed because you're a quarterback and there's one guy on the field who transfer because they're not going to play. Well, no kidding. You have 4 years to play. What's the goal?
Agreed.
These guys who are borderline good enough to start but are just beat out because they have a better guy on their roster, they're supposed to just stick it out and then not do anything else. Like, what do you want them to do? There's one of them out there. Like, it's so ridiculous.
Couldn't agree more, man.
Yeah,
it's like their only opportunity to define or meet their life's ultimate goal, which is to become a professional, is by being on the field. It's
playing.
It's so different. They're not getting paid this. Well, now I guess you could get paid to be a backup, but no, I like that tangent, Scott. Cool points for you, Scott Capron. Cool points.
Oh my God, about time.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the Los Angeles Rams, who were 10-6 last year. They actually are going to be playing the fourth hardest schedule in the NFL this season.
Quick call, just worth noting. This division, the NFC West is playing the NFC West is playing the NFC North and the AFC South. So
interesting. That kind of makes up for the playing within their own division. I guess.
Well, that's just it. If they can, if all these teams can kind of hover around 500, maybe go like 4-2, even in the division. You got to like their chances against 7 of those 8 teams they're all playing, except for Green Bay. Not that they couldn't beat Green Bay, these teams, but like, you know what?
Totally.
You're feeling pretty good playing Chicago, Detroit, Jacksonville, Houston. Like, that's not bad.
So I couldn't absolutely.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we've talked about this a fair bit, so I know that we are all aligned, Scott, Bo, and myself. But they added Matt Stafford, which is just a monumental upgrade at the quarterback position, and it's going to make a massive difference for this team. It's going to really be McVay's time to shine as a play caller, because now he has a guy who can execute all the throws and then some Matt Stafford. You know, one of the most talented quarterbacks who's just hasn't been talked about the last 12 years because he's been in Detroit. They also brought in Deshaun Jackson. So, I mean, whatever. They didn't have any like picks in the first couple rounds of the draft because, of course.
Yeah, I was going to say, like,
Ramsey.
Is this the most win now roster ever constructed in the NFL?
Yeah, I mean, they have arguably the two best defensive players in the NFL on the same team.
Matt Stafford comes in. That's more first round. So I looked it up. They won't have their first until 2024. They haven't made a first round pick. Guess the last time they made a first round pick.
Gosh, what year are we? 2020. I don't know. What was it? 2019?
2016. Jared Goff. Yeah, dude.
Crazy.
Just constantly out the door for players, and for Jalen Ramsey. Matt Stafford, of course. Even the Jared Goff one, they gave up a bunch of picks to move up to get Goff.
So they're going to go almost a decade without a first-round pick.
Very close. They still have room to work on that, right? Like, they can make more trades still.
That's crazy.
That's nuts.
I wouldn't have realized that at all. That's nuts.
So they have to, like, this. McVay has to win this year. So they're going into this. It's balls to the wall. Like, I know we're doing this early. This is like my number one pick for this division is the Rams.
I hate when you guys do that, man. You like, I hate when you do that. It's like you guys get to stake claim, and then I look like a cop here if I agree. And Bo, you and me have been very similar with our picks lately, so I see what you're doing here.
Dude, I thought you're going in reverse order, and I'm like, there's no way they should be second to last in this division, because
this division
they will tamper. They're gonna pay off a ref, do whatever it takes to get some wins and into the playoffs this year.
In your defense, I do normally go based on the previous records, but I've just done it reverse. So I started with the most successful team.
It's actually, Collin, I'm seeing a comment here that someone is referring to you as a copycat and also saying, "I'm rubber, you're glue." Is that?
I think that's Schefter, right? Is that
yeah,
Schefter?
yeah. You just threw that in there. Maybe like a sticks and stones, but hey, Bo can say who we want, but we're getting to it.
All right, I just like when it happens at the end, but fair enough. This is
it's hard.
This is a meritocracy. The only other thing I want to say that really sucks, because you're right, Bo, they are the most win now, as much as anyone anyway. I mean, you could say Tampa's the most win now team,
but at least Tampa has their picks.
Yeah, yeah, and
or has had their picks,
and plenty of young talent. Plenty of young talent. But also that Cam Akers injury just really sucks for them, man.
That sucks.
Like, that's really terrible for Rams fans. It's terrible for their team. Like, he was going to have a blow-up year. Like, you know, the talent was there and just in such an ideal situation. I feel really bad for Cam Akers. But I thought he was going to be Dalvin Cook 2.0 this year or something.
If there's a position where you can withstand it, it's running back.
For sure. We know you feel that way.
With scheme and everything, they can do it. But that does suck, because Akers had a great year, and he was trending, and he was going to be the guy. And you hate to see that. Sorry, go ahead.
The only thing that you just made me think of talking about is, and like Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, are they poised for both of them to have massive years all of a sudden? Because they've just been so solid, the two
They're
of them.
awesome.
With Goff.
With Jared Goff, yeah.
Baby hands Goff. No kidding.
And then you got the burn. Like, I know it's Deshaun Jackson, and trust me, as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer supporter my entire life, like, there is few players in the NFL who I despise more than Deshaun Jackson based on how he handled, or his lack of professionalism as a Buccaneer. But he can still move very fast. He can still take a top off the defense. I don't care how old he is. I know he's injury plagued, whatever. But if he's healthy and he's going deep, he's running those fly routes, that is going to just take the top off the defense, because Stafford's capable of hitting him on occasion, and it's just going to open things up underneath for those technician route runners in Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. Not a conventional pairing between the two, because they're similar in ways, but they're both
Yeah.
fantastic.
They're great.
They're really good.
And Colin, you're exactly right. There's value to Deshaun Jackson until he leaves this league, because at no point will he be below average speed wise, right? That it's just in him. So he's an asshole and like always has been, but I don't mind the pickup. And I guess we can get into Stafford. Actually, I've been thinking about this the last few weeks because I'm wondering if I have built Stafford up in my head a little bit more just because he's been competent on such a bad team. You know what I like? Is he as good as, because in my head he's like just barely in that tier below like Rodgers, Mahomes, and Brady. Like that's how highly I think of him. I think he's that good. But is he closer to the 10th best quarterback in the league, which is still an upgrade for the Rams? But it, like when they got him, I'm thinking like, oh my god. Like,
yeah, we all had to kind of calm ourselves down, I think, because I know we were all in agreement on that, and I feel the exact same way. I think you just articulated it beautifully, and the answer is we're about to find out.
Yeah,
right? We're about to find out. So two of arguably the two best play callers, offensive coaches in the NFL are in this division, and that's a huge advantage for the Niners and the Rams because it's Sean McVay and it's Shanahan.
Yeah.
In my opinion. So, like, you know what I mean? Sure, Cam Akers is hurt, but we're going to find out this year just how legit Stafford is. Because physically, he's still healthy enough. He's young enough. He's a quarterback.
It's fine. That's fine. Yeah. For the record, I would happily bet that he's going to be awesome and, make some outrageous claims that it's going to be undeniably one of the 4 or 5 best quarterbacks in the league this year. It's like, I'm willing to go there, but I want to go there, but I think what I'm saying is I'd be willing to kind of listen to the argument of like just pump your brakes a little bit and let's see it, not a sight unseen. It's just all of a sudden going to be magic.
Yeah, we're not going to talk it into existence. I feel like we've talked a fair bit about Matt Stafford. And...
What do you think, Bo?
I think he's gonna be great, man. Like, what I had written, I didn't even have any notes on Stafford because I knew you guys were gonna gush over him, but there's nothing that I disagree with you guys with on this. Like, this is his best opportunity to win a Super Bowl, and I think he's approaching this year that way. Like, I have to be good because this roster has barely any holes outside of quarterback. Like, you can say what you want about the running back situation now with Cam Akers out. Well, yeah, so like that was the part that I was going to transition to was like, what do you guys think of their defense? Because they did lose John Johnson and Troy Hill.
Yeah, Troy Hill to the Browns, right?
Both of them to the Browns.
Oh, wow, yeah. Browns just take any competent defensive player and throw them in their blender.
But you still, I guess it starts and ends with Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. Like,
it's funny. It's like a super team on that side of the ball, but does that work when there's 11 guys on the field at a time? Like, obviously they have other competent defenders, but
to have the best pass rusher and then one of the best guys in the secondary, and like that's a good place to start, right?
I mean, I wouldn't take a DB over Jalen Ramsey in the NFL.
And you wouldn't take any
exactly.
Donald.
No,
and you wouldn't take exactly. So you have two generational talents in their prime.
Yeah.
On that side of the ball. They also have this kid Darius Williams who stole the starting job from Troy Hill at the start of last year. PFF had a crazy stat about him. Came in the league 2018. He hasn't allowed a 70-yard game since then.
Wow.
That's insane. That's their number 2 corner.
Do you have
this defense could be unreal.
Wow.
Do you have their DVOA or defensive performances in front of you at all, Bo? Like, I am curious.
Yeah.
And of course, DVOA takes into account, for anyone who doesn't know, it takes into account adjusting to the quality of competition ultimately in terms of ranking a defense, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, that's exactly what it is.
That's the key. That's the key reason why we tend to depend on DVOA on this show, as opposed to the defensive ranks.
Yeah. So if you're facing the average offense or the average defense, this is how your team ranks as an offense or a defense. So they came in 4th in DVOA on defense. So obviously some injuries on that. They're behind Washington, New Orleans, and Pittsburgh in that order.
Wow. So they're Yeah, they're performing on that side of the ball, playing against some good offenses too.
Yeah. So that they're already a 4. They lose John Johnson and Troy Hill, but there's an argument that those guys were made better by Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald, right? So maybe John Johnson's probably the big one that sticks out. Troy Hill's probably your nickel back in this. So who knows if you can get through that? But John Johnson being away, that adds a little bit of question marks just from a safety position. But number 10 in offense on DVOA, number 4 on defense in DVOA. So Stafford comes in, you're expecting the offense takes a little bit of a jump, right?
Yep.
So I don't know, like they could be very, very, very good next year.
Just because you said Stafford, I had a thought related to Scott's earlier, the scenario you were just describing regarding Stafford and whether we're too high on him and maybe what also can affirm our instinct that Stafford is so great too is likely Sean McVay's affinity for him. Like the fact he wanted to go out and give up more draft capital to bring him in, for such a smart offensive guy. That's just one thing that popped into my head. So I'm sorry if I just strayed us off course.
No, and plus he's
a great point.
6 or 7 years older than Goff too. I mean, I know Stafford's not in the twilight, and it's not like Goff was doing anything to really make the Rams want to keep them. But it's not an insignificant age difference between the two. So you got to really like him. You got to really think you can win with him if you're going to get the almost is he 33? I think he's going to be 33 this year if he's not already. So
yeah,
that's old.
It's not old. That's us.
For them, no. Yeah. I know. I'm like looking at my watch. It's like, what is it? Midnight? Oh, it's 9:15. All right, sweet.
Man, just like we start with Russell, a team led by Russell Wilson. Then we talk about a new team led by Matt Stafford on offense, and now we're going to start talking about a team led by Kyler Murray. Like, what a division in terms of quarterbacks. We'll see what happens with Trey Lance. Obviously, if he's going to be as great as Shanahan thinks he will, then that's just another supreme talent in the mix. But I do want to talk about Kyler Murray's Arizona Cardinals coming off an 8-8 year. I know 2 seasons ago, Cap, they were a big betting favorite for years before the rest of the world kind of caught on. So you saw lots of value there and capitalized on it, which was a great read. And I guess I don't know. My read on your betting is that you weren't as bullish on them this past season, and I think Vegas and the public maybe caught up a little bit. So I don't know how they performed from a betting angle last season, but I feel like they came back to earth a little bit in terms of their performance compared to how Vegas was.
Yeah, I was on them early, but then it became pretty clear that they were just going to be a yo-yo team, and
that Seahawk in them.
Yeah, and 8-8, great, but totally lucky win against Buffalo, right? And then. Sorry, and you hate to say the difference is one game, but big difference just in the narrative of a losing season versus a non-losing season, even though it's just 7-9 versus 8-8, right? But yeah, I was definitely on them. They disappointed me last year. Little creativity from Kingsbury. I thought very conservative. Didn't really let Murray cook as much as they would. I gotta think it's going to be more opened up this year. I don't think Kingsbury is that stubborn to not hear some of the very rightful criticism of his team and his offense. And just once again, I think I touched on this in an earlier episode, but he's coming from college. It's the air raid offense with Texas Tech, where they're trying to score 50 points a game, and he's just out here kicking long field goals and punting on 4th and 3 from the opponent's 39 and stuff like that. I'm super surprised that at how his first couple years have gone. I don't know. I just assumed he would really go full throttle, but then, I don't know the pressure of being a coach. Obviously, maybe there's something holding him back because he's just trying to kind of keep his head above water. But I hope they really open it up because I love their roster and I love Kyler. But everyone was kind of predicting the big jump for them and Murray specifically last year, which obviously go hand in hand, but it just didn't happen. 8-8 was fair. They just weren't that good. They were a completely average team. Didn't get screwed out of the playoffs, nothing like that. And I guess everything just kind of, stayed, and now we're postponing it a year, and we'll see what happens.
the only the first question I have when I was looking up this team was, is Cliff Kingsbury any good?
Yeah,
47% winning percentage in college, 42% in the NFL. I was actually kind of shocked that wasn't lower in the NFL.
Yeah.
But they start 5-2 last year. Their two losses were back to back to Detroit and Carolina in the first 7 games.
yeah.
I think that was probably the moment where I think all of us kind of looked at it and were just like, yeah, that seems probably not that good. You are now 3-2 after losing to Detroit and Carolina. Close the year 3-6, just like you said.
Yeah.
His play calling is a lot of dink and dunk. When I look back through it, just bringing up even their YouTube stuff, it's just a lot of horizontal passes, basically.
Get the ball out of Murray's hands, and which is okay, but be aggressive.
Go downfield. You have DeAndre Hopkins. You have DeAndre Hopkins. Go get it. And I agree with you. Their roster, even from a receiving core standpoint, they got better. Say what you will about AJ Green, but I think all of us are really high on Rondale Moore. Christian Kirk, I think, is poised to have another big year, or to just build off of what he did last year as well too. So, it's this offense is confusing because you have Cliff Kingsbury, who is supposed to be this unbelievable offensive mind, but doesn't really call the plays that we'd like to see him call.
Yeah.
You have Kyler Murray, who is unreal running and throwing the ball, but he's in this offense that's asking him to dink and dunk it a ton. I don't know. I'm very interested to see how the Cardinals fare this year. I think when we were talking about the hottest seats, I brought up Cliff Kingsbury as well.
Oh, for sure.
I think, but the first episode, I feel like I was out on my own on that, or when we first talked about this, just because it wasn't for sure. We're just okay, they're a developing team that might be ahead of schedule, but when I look at their roster, they're ready to compete, and this is a tough division to do it in, but they've got to show some results.
The kiss of death for these coaches, though, is if the media says, okay, we think you should be good now, so go do it. It's well, maybe not. I don't know. But if that's the expectations, then it doesn't matter. Then you have to go do it. That's just how it goes, right? So, if they start off, 1-4 or something like that, it's totally feasible that he could be gone.
Yeah, I find Steve Keim, their GM, to be pretty loyal. So I actually don't think he's necessarily on the hot seat. I think it's Kyler Murray's entering his 3rd year, and him and Kingsbury together. Just my read on what I think will happen. I bet you he won't be on the hot seat unless something catastrophic happens. Personally, just knowing Steve Keim, he seems like a pretty loyal general manager compared to a lot of guys in this business. And the Cardinals did add some quality players in J.J. Watt. I mean, a couple guys over the hill, but still quality. A.J. Green, Malcolm Butler, Matt Prater, kicker.
Hey, you can bomb him.
He can bomb them. At least he used to be able to. And they brought over James Conner as well. They of course lost Hassan Reddick, which is a pretty big loss, but a sneaky productive linebacker-ish player.
Pat Peterson.
Pat Peterson, of course. So lots of over the hill guys coming in and out. But they did draft Zaven Collins, which would help mitigate the loss from Hassan Reddick as a first rounder. And you already mentioned Rondale Moore in the 2nd round. So I really like what they did in their first 2 picks of the draft. I think they're going to have an absolutely dynamic offense. I'm expecting Kyler Murray to.
I hope so.
Yeah, I really think they will. I think Rondale Moore is going to create a whole new element for that offense. And I think A.J. Green, apparently, I know half the teams say this about half their players, but apparently he's looked fantastic in training camp. And then they got Christian Kirk, and they got DeAndre Hopkins, who's entering his 2nd year playing with Kyler. Right? So you got to give that quarterback, number 1 wide receiver, a little bit of leeway, especially when it's a super young quarterback. I'm expecting those two's on the field relationship to just show more chemistry, be more on the same page. I expect this offense to take some form this season. I don't expect them to finish last in the division. I'll say that much.
Let's get Nuke a few shots of the vaccine as well too, just to make sure that he's going to be out there and he's not going to retire, because. Yeah, the vaccine's more dangerous than football. Anyways, let's not talk about that too much. Larry, is Larry coming back? His dad put out some tweet It's got all the Cardinal fans going crazy.
I'm glad you asked. Like last I checked, he's floating around golf courses in Northern Cali. Like,
Yeah, I know.
and I mean, it's too close to the season for him to play, right? So much for the farewell tour for one of the most accomplished wide receivers in NFL history. Like, what's going on there?
Exactly. Yeah.
Is he just
Apparently,
trying
his
to
dad
kinda,
tweeted. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, is he just trying to like fade out quietly? Like, does he not want the attention, and this is his retirement?
I have no idea. His dad tweeted, "Do you believe in miracles?"
Yeah.
And that's all he tweeted. It just went on.
I hope he comes
This
back.
day after that. Yeah,
Fitz is the man.
of course. Yeah, he's the man. Like literally one of the coolest to be doing it this long at this level.
Dude.
Like yeah, one of the best dudes ever too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another guy. What's happening with Chandler Jones?
Yeah, so it sounds like he's he's playing at training.
Yeah, he's
training
at camp.
Despite his frustration with his contract situation, because his deal's up after this year. He's clearly not happy, which is super
Yeah.
interesting. Because when JJ Watt came, there was this like sense of like they were all like, "Yo, let's do this. We're gonna wreck the league." And then like within a week, Chandler Jones was like, "Yo, my deal's
I'm out.
bullshit. Like, pay me or I'm
Yeah.
holding out."
Yeah.
But he wants
Everyone's
his
in-
money.
Everyone's into that until they realize they're not getting paid enough or what they think they're worth.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I saw some buzz around like a swap with the Jags for CJ Henderson. I don't know. It doesn't really move the dial for me.
Yeah, apparently CJ Henderson is on the block, which is interesting. I don't really understand
Yeah.
why. Like,
They don't want to pay him either.
God, he's on a rookie deal though. Like,
Exactly.
like what the?
Like, why would you trade CJ Henderson for Chandler Jones to pay Chandler Jones?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if they just want to bring a guy in, you know, kind of like the Raptors, like feel the Toronto Raptors. Sorry, but that's a geographical bias. But feeling like they need to acquire guys before because they're not going to lure them in free agency. So I don't know. Maybe they throw the bag at them if they get him there first. That's what they're thinking.
People
Chandler
don't
Jones,
realize
though, that's going to
Chandler,
be one
Chandler Jones
coveted-
is really fucking good.
going to be one coveted free agent. I
Yeah.
heard his family is pretty athletic.
Yeah, his family's not bad. His
Yeah,
family's
just a
not bad.
bit. Just a
Yeah.
bit.
97 sacks since 2012. Leads the NFL. Like
Leads
he's-
the NFL. Wow.
Yeah, since
That's
2012.
impressive. I
He's
wouldn't-
quietly just dominant.
60
super
sacks with
dominant.
the Cards since 2016. Like,
Everyone
he
in the
is-
league knows too. All the players know. Like he's
Oh,
always
yeah.
high up on that NFL top 100. Like he's feared.
I feel like
60
he's
sacks
like
in 5 years. So 12. Wow, 12. Wow,
yeah.
that's incredible.
know.
I
Basically
knew
every
he-
game.
I wouldn't have guessed that he was that productive. Like I knew he was really good, obviously, and like a
Yeah.
game changer. But wow, that's incredible.
Especially with
Doesn't
like
this just
sorry, go ahead.
I'm just saying, doesn't this feel like a random trade that just happens? Like he just ends up on the Pats or he just ends up on the Chiefs or something at like the 11th hour, like right before week 1 or something like that.
Maybe football trades are so weird. I never
Football
know.
trades are so weird.
They're so when it happens, it's like the stars really had to align, or like shit really had to go wrong for them to get to that point. They're so rare.
Yeah.
He's not going back to the Patriots though. I know you're just throwing
Yeah.
names out there.
He
I
just
know.
There's no way he
picking
goes
his team,
back.
man.
I feel like once he's out of Bill's shadow, he you know his career took off. He'll be fine without Bill Belichick. At least he'll feel that way. I'm saying. So yeah, I mean, the Cardinals are interesting, man. They could go a whole bunch of different directions. I'm putting a lot of stock in their offense, and just I think J.J. Watt and A.J. Green, a couple old guys, I think they're going to have a little resurgence. I'm a little higher on the Cards than most, anyway.
Do the Chiefs scare you at all? I kind of read something off your face. Did the Chiefs scare you at all for a Chandler Jones trade?
Oh God, the Chiefs would scare me for any acquisition of any elite talent,
Any
man.
good player.
I
Yeah.
was just scared
On that
they
side
were-
of the ball, especially.
Yeah, like I was just scared they were going to add O-lineman this year, and sure enough, they did a great job reinforcing the
no
trenches
doubt.
there. Yeah, that would be super scary, man. Throwing him on that D-line. Oh my God, why'd you say that? But you know what? It
Things are
feels
going
good.
so well.
It feels good to feel like our rival is the Kansas City Chiefs.
Very
So,
true.
The fact you asked me that and as a Bucks guy, and I'm just like feeling like that's who we're. I don't
You
want
tremored a little bit when I first said it. You were like, kind of moved back a little bit.
I think they're definitively the best teams in each conference. As much as we're talking about this,
Yeah.
this
the
great
Bucks
division,
and
I
We
do think
got to do that. We got to do that with the Bucks report crowd. when
Oh
we.
yeah, we'll have a contenders episode for sure.
Yeah,
We'll talk
yeah,
about
yeah.
it. That's kind of the culmination of the work we've put in on these division previews.
Yeah.
And I like on our YouTube channel we're getting hate from random people because we're tagging their teams and they're checking it out, which is good. We enjoy that. Okay, gentlemen, do either of you have anything else you'd like to hit on with the Cardinals, or are you feeling like whoopsie? Sorry about that.
It's not good.
Not going to reintroduce us just yet. Any other Cardinals thoughts?
What a twist that was. No, let's see it, Arizona. Like let's see it. I'd love for this team to be good. Why not?
It is a big year for Kingsbury, like you both said. You both been very critical of him. I'm going to give him this year. Let's see if he can, take advantage of the weapons, because I think they're there on that side of the ball. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
They might need a running back.
Kyler Murray is wicked. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks in the league. I love watching that little bugger scamper around.
He's super fun. One of our favorite guys to bet on for the over rushing yards as well too.
For sure.
But their running game, Chase Edmonds and James Conner now.
Yeah,
Kenny Drake's gone.
I'm not a James Conner guy at all.
I don't mind Edmonds.
No, Edmonds is solid. He's a solid change of pace back for sure. I think they were higher on him than Kenyon Drake, low key, and they just felt compelled because Kenyon Drake was on a bigger deal.
He was good for him last year. Drake was, but yeah, I don't mind Edmonds in that spot.
Edmonds has been highly productive when he plays, right? He's just in that reserve role more or less, or like a third down, throw him in there kind of thing. So I think maybe he'll have a bigger role, and it'll be very much a timeshare between him and James Conner. I don't know.
Oh. Guys, Andy Isabella has COVID right now. Come on.
Really?
Come on, Andrew. Figure it out.
He could be vaccinated though. Like that.
I know. Yeah, sorry, I shouldn't be. But yeah, I'm just.
But I understand why your head goes that way. And Andy Isabella, that's another guy, like a cool player in their receiving corps who could be productive in this league. So we will see. This is a fun division, man. I keep saying it in between each team, but damn. Now, let's finish up with the San Francisco 49ers coming off an incredibly injury-riddled season. They finished 6-10. They're gonna come in with the 14th easiest schedule according to Mike Clay. Gave up a king's ransom to move up in the draft to select Trey Lance. The heavily debated, much anticipated selection that no one could quite nail on the head except for a few people who just assumed in the media who it was going to be. What a smokescreen job by Kyle Shanahan and the team in San Fran. Like, really impressive in hindsight. They had everyone thinking Mac Jones. They had him the betting favorite. Like, I don't know. That was wild.
Dude,
smart guys.
Smart guys. I saw an anecdote. Oh, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah, I saw an anecdote that when Shanahan went to see Justin Fields for his second pro day, I think it was, like, chopping it up. There's some great pictures of them all smiling or whatever. Apparently on the ride to the airport, he was on his iPad drawing plays for Trey Lance because he's so confident that that's who he's going to take after seeing Justin Fields again.
It's commitment to the smoke, isn't it? Like our friend Michael Skolnick, commitment to the smoke. But yeah, anyway, obviously they love Trey Lance. Like, I was just going to say Daniel Jeremiah, who's one of the best draft guys for NFL Network. I'm sure anyone watching this is very familiar with Daniel Jeremiah. He was the whole time steadfast in that Trey Lance was a perfect scheme fit for Kyle Shanahan's offense and the exact type of player that he thought would be ideal in San Fran. I'm obviously, like, as I've talked about, like, I think they should have gone Justin Fields, but Daniel Jeremiah and Kyle Shanahan sure know a hell of a lot more about football and picking quarterbacks than I do.
Hey.
At least about the scheme. About that scheme.
You're in that realm, dude. You're in that upper echelon.
Thanks, Scotty.
Yeah, I think you're just a hair below Shanahan.
All right. hair below Shanahan, a lot of steps above, like, Pete Carroll.
Oh,
big.
Yeah, actually, yeah, yes.
But yeah, so obviously they're gonna get a bunch of guys back, and like what an incredible position for any one of those top 5 quarterbacks to land in the NFL. Like, to be picking that high, to get a quarterback who they think is one of the best 3 quarterbacks in this draft, to walk into that situation is incredible. Talk about, like, avoiding some of the growing pains that most of these top prospects have to deal with for a few years, which can really derail a guy's career. How many NFL quarterbacks, top prospects coming out of college, ended up in the wrong situation, but could have been great if they ended up in a well-coached, well-structured roster? Like, it's just so interesting to me. You know, it's so situational in terms of who's successful as a quarterback in the NFL. So that's just what's going through my mind right now as I'm speaking.
When do you guys think we see him?
Man, I think within the first 3 weeks, and then it's never looking back.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That early, eh?
I just don't. I'm not a believer in Garoppolo, and I think, like, Bo, what you just said, like Shanahan is in love with Trey Lance.
Yeah, I think that's it.
So, like, you know, I just can't see them. They're built to win now, believe it or not, too, kind of in a way. And
kind of. They've got some young guys who are really good on both sides of the ball, right?
For sure, but I just mean like that. Actually, you're right. Yeah, they got plenty of youth. They're in a really good position. Both currently and moving forward.
It's just the durability issues, right? That's the theme, like, throughout this entire roster. It's like, if he's healthy, they'll be great. Yeah.
I'm willing to chalk last year up as just a total freak anomaly type of season, right? Because and like, how good is that for Lance? He goes to a real organization that would have been a fine team last year, but they just got, like, the injury bug bit them so much it was actually crazy. And then, because, you know, a lot of guys, you get drafted that high, you're going to a Jacksonville or you're going to to the Jets or something like that, right?
Cincinnati.
So Cincinnati, just so good for Lance. I'm fascinated by the different potential, like, permutations about what can happen with Garoppolo and Lance and when it can happen, because it's like, you know, what if the Niners are 4-2, but Garoppolo looks pretty good? Like, is that enough to give, like, no, we need the jolt of Lance because now he's picked up the offense, or like Garoppolo looks terrible right away, and it's like, we got to put Lance in now because he's actually our better option, even though we're not sure that he knows everything yet. So I can't wait to see A, how Garoppolo plays, and then B, how Shanahan handles it. It's funny too. It's funny just thinking about it, because remember, you know, they were different regime and two different quarterbacks, obviously, but the same team. When Harbaugh put Kaepernick in over Alex Smith, even though the team was looking fine, but that's a big decision to make, and I'm sure Shanahan will have no problem pulling the trigger with whoever he thinks is going to give him the best chance to win. I just can't wait to watch what happens.
Yeah, well said. And, like, you know, he had no problem giving up that amount of draft capital to get his guy. So obviously he's in love with him. But you bring up a good point, because maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I need to backtrack my opinion that Trey Lance will be in the first 3 weeks, because maybe he loves him so much that he cares about, you know, his betterment in the long haul, and he doesn't necessarily think he's ready. Because you're also right, Bo. They are certainly built for the future as well, even though I think they'll be competitive pretty soon.
They've got an early bye week as well. Week 6, they get their bye week. So they open against Detroit, Philly, and then Green Bay, Seattle, and Arizona. So 2 divisional games right before the bye week. I think maybe we see him week 7 against the Colts. Then you got Colts, Chicago, the Cardinals again, and the Rams. Like, it's a nice little, like, wind up for him, because the Colts could be awful this year as well too.
Lots of interesting scenarios, man. This division could go any which way. And, like, I mean, you got to talk about, like, you know, we spent a good amount of time talking about Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey. I mean, having Bosa and Fred Warner in your front seven, and then you throw in, like, Javon Kinlaw and, like, some of these other talented guys in the front seven. I mean, those are two serious. D Ford, like, there's some talent, man. Like, I like
Eric Armstead even a little bit too. Still, he's good. They're gonna be. They're good. Sorry,
yeah, they're really good.
They're good, and, like, I like that Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel combo. Like, they're not super deep at receiver, I would say, but they picked up Mohamed Sanu. You know, whatever, maybe a bit of a veteran presence. But I really like Ayuk and Samuel. And I like Raheem Mostert as a running back too. Like, and Kittle. I mean, we need to mention Kittle, obviously. But,
exactly. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, their pass catchers are really good, actually. Yeah. If you just go with the top 2 wide receivers and Kittle as your third one, who's probably going to be their top pass catcher.
Yeah, he's awesome.
But I like Raheem Mostert, Trey Sermon. They got Gallman out of the Giants.
Yeah.
That Jeff Wilson Jr. kid was actually not that bad last year. They've got a nice little running game. Their line is always going to be good with Trent Williams anchoring it. Like, this team could be really good.
Yeah.
I would be scared. I would like to say, like, Deebo Samuel's one of my favorite wide receivers. I feel like I keep on forgetting to give him a shout out every time we talk about breakout guys this year. Another one of those if he's healthy guys that's on this roster, but only 7 games last year, hamstring, foot fracture. But apparently he's looking super good in camp. Jason Verrett was basically saying he's looking like the hungriest wide receiver, hungriest offensive player on the team right now. So I just like the way he attacks the ball. Like, when it's in the air, when he has it, he attacks the defender once he has it. Like, I just love the way he plays football. Reminds me a little bit of Steve Smith, senior. Sorry.
Yeah, tough. Not the biggest guy, but he's tough too. Like
Exactly.
a hard-nosed
Super
receiver.
tough.
I would attach my name to Brandon Ayuk if given a choice between the two. I think he has like
Really?
explosive, unique potential to be great.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
So that would be more of like a high swing, but I think Ayuk could be really special actually.
Nice.
They're both awesome. They're both
Yeah.
awesome.
Quite the duo when you throw in a blocking receiving specialist like Kittle, because he's literally great at everything. Like, Kittle has no holes aside from getting banged up a little bit, but he's also tough as nails and plays through injury a lot.
Yeah. And
George Kittle's the man. Like,
yeah, he's awesome.
He's awesome.
he's so cool.
On Monday night, we were talking about receivers kind of off the radar who could have a breakout year. Either of those two, I would say.
Yeah.
Either of those two Niners guys are worthy candidates.
And, the running back situation's interesting. Raheem Mostert, but they drafted Eric Sermon out of Ohio State in like the third
Trey
or fourth.
Sermon.
Trey Sermon.
I was
Thank
like,
you.
yeah. Sorry.
Oh.
My bad.
Just
I was
the,
like, Eric Sermon's a rapper.
the running back's delight or what?
Happens happens to the best of us. But yeah, I think he could actually carve out a nice niche as a running back in this system as well. Just talking about rookies going into advantageous situations. But an interesting thing too going on, a little issue between the media and some of these players on the Niners, and Raheem Mostert is what put it in my mind, is like there's some conflicting accounts in terms of the 49ers injury reports, like not the team injury reports, but things being reported in the media. Like, I guess Javon Kinlaw was initially reported to have like a pretty serious injury, and then he came out and was like, I'm fine, like I'm good, like screw off. And then the same thing happened with Mozart. Mozart had to he took to Twitter to be like, what are you guys doing? Like, I'm okay. Stop tweeting I'm injured. So there's some weird,
so weird
under the radar.
It's the same guy who had that the press conference with JaVale McGee. He just has no idea what's going on with people's bodies. He's like, oh, is your mom still with us?
Oh,
like,
God.
what?
That was the most awkward. Scott, have you heard about this?
Yeah. Insane.
Yeah, an interviewer asked JaVale McGee at an Olympic press conference. He brought up his mother, and he said, is she still with us? And JaVale's like, what the hell's wrong with you?
What are you asking?
Like, what are you asking me? Yes, my mother is alive.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Are you trying to tell me something, you idiot? Yeah.
Yeah.
Or on a slightly less darker note, I can't remember who the guy was, but it was like the Falcons tweeted out something about X player was hurt, and it's like, and then there's a tweet below. It's like sources, and the Falcons responded, literally us, the Falcons, like from the official Twitter. I thought that was so good. Like, we're saying it. Oh my God.
So good.
Yeah.
That's been done before. That's that, though.
Yeah.
I think the Toronto Blue Jays did that once.
Oh, did
Yeah,
they?
I remember the Jays doing that too.
Yeah.
I love
Hey,
that. I love that.
What do you guys think? Because they gave up a ton to get Trey Lance. What do you think Jimmy G is worth? And is there any chance they get that this season?
Is it because he's getting paid? His contract's like $20 million a year at least.
A
Right?
lot.
I should look up his contract actually before.
Yeah,
He's
I don't
not
think
bad
Jimmy-
though.
I don't think he's
I
that.
don't think he's bad.
So, Bo, are you saying if they were to move him, what would his market be?
Yeah.
Or,
What's the comeback for a Jimmy G trade for the Niners?
I don't think Jimmy G's that good. So like,
Yeah, but he's got enough value where he's better than a lot of starters.
yeah, he's in a funny position, isn't he? He's like where he is, like in terms
It's
of just
actually
the hierarchy of
Not
the position.
that bad.
Couldn't-
The cap hit is 26 million, 26.3 this year,
That's a lot.
27 next year. For
Yeah, I
your
think
quarterback, that's not horrible.
Yeah, that's not that bad. Yeah.
I guess Nick
What about
Foles.
Philly? Philly. I mean, I guess we're just gonna keep saying Philly as a potential landing spot.
Yeah, my mind
Yeah.
goes to Denver right away always.
Denver. Yeah.
but
Great
like,
one.
Like again, for that amount, like I would rather sell the farm and go get a real difference maker, or I would you're gonna eviscerate me for this, but I think I would rather roll with Bridgewater than I would even, or I guess I don't know about
I don't
Drew
think
Lock,
that's crazy.
but I would rather roll.
That's not
with
crazy to me.
I would rather roll with Bridgewater on his deal than I would take on Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
Jimmy
I
G
like-
is like a 1 year, like it's basically a 2-year deal.
And I'd
get
rather
him
Hurts.
next year.
I'd rather Hurts too, probably. I think Philly's in trouble. I think we've talked about that on our
I think
NFC
they
episode.
absolutely suck.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the teams in this division. 4 potentially really good football teams that make up the NFC West. What do you guys think's going to go down?
Here, let me
This
give
year.
you some betting odds here, guys, if you don't mind.
Thought you'd never ask.
Oh. So to win the
Yeah, let's just play over and under. You just give us a number.
Yeah,
Oh wait, so you guys are gonna guess what the over under is for their for the wins?
or you tell us and we say over or under.
Okay. All right. So Arizona is at the bottom at 8.5. Is their over under?
I've got them under.
I got over.
Okay. Seattle 9.5.
I have them under.
I guess I have to go under.
Okay, and then 10.5 for both the Rams and the Niners. But you're getting a little love. It's plus 100 for the Niners, 10.5, and plus 110 for the Rams at 10.5. If you like the Rams, that's got to be sticking out to you.
Yeah, I would have to go with the Rams over that.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. This is such a weird division because like, if in January you told me any of these teams were in 4th or any of these teams were in 1st, I would have I would not be surprised either way.
But that's for this. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you have? I'm curious. Like I think the Rams are, if I had to pick, are going to win this division.
Okay, so it's almost a toss up at the top. The Niners are plus 180. So $100 bet to win 180 profit. The Rams are plus 187. Seahawks plus 280, and then the Cardinals plus 550. So, very, very interesting.
Yeah, like my gut says the Rams win this.
I
If
think
I had to bet, like I might just take the value on the Cardinals because it's
Really?
not
Take the flyer?
unfathomable
Yeah.
to me. Yeah.
I mean,
No.
considering they're what, plus 550, you said. Yeah, Bo, I agree. Like for a team expected to be last in the division, if anyone has the talent or ability, like with a young, incredibly dynamic quarterback, to make that big leap, it could be
Yeah.
this team.
yeah.
Unfortunately,
And
you
these teams might just be all around. It might be like the opposite of the NFC East, where they're all just a little bit above 500.
Honestly,
it just comes down to who's healthiest at the end of the game.
Yeah, I think the better question is how many of these teams make the playoffs.
Yeah,
I know. You wish you could say all 4. Honestly,
I think there's an argument for it, man. Like the NFC East, I think the 3 non-winners are going to be below 500.
yeah.
I think that's fair. I think you could say the same thing about the NFC North. Maybe Minnesota. I'm not as high on them. So
no, they're due for a regression, and as we know, every year they go back and forth between being good and bad. So
yeah, and I think you can make the same case for the NFC South as well. That maybe the second best team in either the North or the South is 9-8. I think it really depends on how these division games shake out, and if they kind of I don't know, like they're a wash and everyone is about 500, and then they just beat up on everyone else. I think you can, especially with the 7th playoff spot now. I don't think it's crazy that all 4 teams make it. I wouldn't bet it because it's just unlikely, because some team is going to lose, is going to go 2-4 in the division, even though they lose a couple tough games. That's just hard to get around, kind of thing. But I don't think it's crazy. I would pick 3 of them.
for sure, yeah.
We got to get that. Like, what is the price if you did if you parlayed all of them making the playoffs.
I know. I would love to see that. I have every team going over 500 in this division. That's for sure. So,
But I thought you had under on Seattle though, so you have them at exactly 9-8.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, fair. So
Exactly it.
I would go Rams, Niners, Cardinals, Seahawks is how I would.
That's what I got.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bo?
I had Rams, 49ers,
Yeah.
Seahawks, Cardinals.
Oh, okay. So just the Seahawks and the Cardinals. Yeah. So yeah, this isn't. I think we all think they're going to be good. I would be shocked, barring it like a San Fran-esque injury season from last year. I'd be shocked if one of these teams is 6-11. I think they're too good.
But in terms of actually predicting the rankings within the division, it's the hardest one to do.
Yeah, I think so.
Because it literally could go 4 different ways. Well, more than 4 different ways.
I would be completely fine with flipping my, like when I was doing, I didn't even really, I just kind of wrote them down of like what I thought they would be. But like if you told me it was Cardinals, Seahawks, 49ers, Rams, I'd be like, wow, the Rams are screwed.
Yeah. There's almost no combo that someone could throw out there that I would like really scoff at.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd probably say something just because, what else am I supposed to do? But yeah, nothing crazy. That's for sure.
I am very high on the Rams this year just because of what we talked about. The Stafford McVay combination to me seems like a match made in heaven.
Just the urgency too of the team, like they have to win.
Do you guys have any recollection of the Packers Rams playoff game from last year? I must have watched 0 of that game because I had to look it up.
I remember it.
Wait, is that what Goff didn't Goff have the thumb thing?
Did he even play, or was it Walford still? Like, I can't remember.
I think he came on in the second.
I think you're right. That
sounds
sounds
right. Second half, like Wofford or whatever started, and Wofford a ball over the middle, and they were like, "Let's go to Gimpy Goff."
Yeah, it was 32-18, which is like an almost impossible score to get to in football. By the way, like literally,
mathematically.
It's just like it doesn't. Do you guys follow that Scoregami account on Twitter?
No, should we?
Well, it's whenever there's a score that's never happened before, and it's like 47-26 or something like that, and then it just and it's like this is the 3,000th unique score in NFL history. Or whenever a game ends, they'll say how many times that score is out. I don't know. It's weirdly satisfying for some reason. It's cool.
Interesting.
Aaron Donald was hurt for this game.
Oh, well, that doesn't.
Yeah. He was. I remember
he only has 1 assisted tackle in this.
Didn't know he could be hurt, but apparently he was.
Yeah, seriously.
I still don't understand how defensive tackle, a man with that much body mass, can be that cut still.
It's insane.
Like, to be that sheerly wide and it's just insane. And then his production matches what he looks like. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, he's unbelievable.
What a freak. What an awesome gift to everyone except NFL quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And O-linemen. Interior O-linemen. Bucks play the Rams week 3.
That's awesome.
4:25 p.m.
Where is it?
September 26th. It's in the new stadium, SoFi.
Nice. Yeah, okay, they've got the new stadium. They have no picks. They trade for Stafford. They have to win the Super Bowl.
You're right. It's very win now for them. Interesting. I was just, as we were talking, I don't know how this would work across the other divisions we've done, but all 4 teams in this division have appeared in a Super Bowl within the last 15 years. Jeez. At least one.
That's
kind of cool. Just speaks to the quality. Because I was thinking about it. I'm like, damn, I guess Arizona's the longest drought, and it was
they almost,
18 years ago.
They almost won that game.
Yeah, that's wild.
That was such an insane throw by Ben to Holmes in the end. Yeah. Oh my God, just crazy. Yeah. Also, remember, was it at just before halftime when Arizona was driving and is it Harrison who returned it 98 yards?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scott, by the way, speaking of that Arizona Cardinals team, what you said earlier about there's no one you love to watch play, but would hate to spend time with off the field as much as Russ?
Yeah, is Warner up there for you?
Warner's the opposite.
Oh, okay.
So he's a guy who I hated to watch play. No swag. Reminded me of Mark Jackson on the Indiana Pacers. Just a player who with no swag who I despise to watch. But once I got to know Kurt Warner just from his media presence and hearing him speak to whether it's players or fans or just dumbing it down or just talk to people, learning about his life, like his football life's a great, glimmer into that.
Mhm.
I love Kurt Warner.
Man, yeah. I love how you're dropping these names. Like, yeah, now that I golf weekly with Kurt Warner, and the Arizona GM is so loyal, never forgets my birthday. Like, it really helps just get a whole scene. No, I'm just kidding, but yeah, no, he does seem like he seems like a cooler dude than he did on the field. That's for sure.
I mean, if you want me to go on the record, I've never met Kurt Warner.
Yeah, well, I honestly, I kind of do. I'm kind of glad that you said that. So
Seems that way.
Speaking of
all right,
like
anyway,
media guy,
wait,
go
it's
ahead.
got time to admit he runs the account Sportagami. Come on, tell him.
Scoregami.
Whatever. Our mathematician here at Bucks Banter. Ooh,
Oh yeah, it's
17
literally
games.
just reading off a score.
He literally just remembers through 17 games each year.
Yeah,
it's not easy being like this. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
by me every time. What were you gonna say, Bo? Before we check up out of here?
Yeah, we should get out of here, but I don't want to go down another tangent, so maybe I'll save it. But I was just gonna ask where you guys were on Breeze on the rankings of that, of like an NFL quarterback, media personality now, and I don't know, tough hang, good hang.
I've loved Drew Brees since Purdue. The awkward situation last year, definitely
Like a standing for the flag thing.
That's like the only glitch on his resume to me, and this is like he's been.
That was pretty tough.
It was tough. That's what I'm saying. But let me let's say that didn't happen, and you asked me that, like, I've always loved Drew Brees, his character.
Love watching
his
play or character.
Both. Like, he's just a guy I've rooted for. If a guy hits both of those, he's someone you really genuinely cheer for.
Yeah.
And that was me. I'd never cheered for him to win because he was a division rival, but I just loved the player and what I thought was the person from my very disadvantaged point.
I was Breeze agnostic. I never really cared about him. He seemed whatever to me, kind of vanilla. Like, not a bad dude. I didn't think he was a dick or anything until the whole anthem flag debacle. But yeah, one of my favorite quarterbacks ever to watch play. He's incredible.
So fun.
You know what part of it is the nostalgia for me as well. He was one of the first college players I really fell in love with at Purdue. I think was he the same year as Ron Dane at Wisconsin, Scott? Because I remember, or similar years anyway.
I think they probably overlapped.
So that's when I started falling in love with college football as a kid, whatever years those guys were. And those are two of my first favorite collegiate football players.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a big part of it as well.
How about him ending up in West Lafayette, Indiana from Texas? Like, I read a story, they didn't even know where Purdue was. And you know what I mean? It just,
get us those stories, Cap.
Recruiting, it's an inexact science, I would say. Like, none of those Texas schools could have used Drew Brees. Like, it's so crazy, eh?
It is wild.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I love Drew Brees as a player, even though I hate him at the same time. And I think that's a good opportunity to wrap this episode up. This was episode 18 of the Bucks Banter podcast. We got one division preview left before we've done them all. And of course, that will be the NFC South. We're going to do that one live on Bucks Report. And looking forward to that. Any parting words, Bodan or Scotty?
No, good, man. We're like turning the corner on these. So we're gonna have live football to talk about for the rest of these weeks, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, man. It's just, we keep churning these episodes out, and these weeks are flowing by, and we're getting closer. I can't wait, and this so fun to talk about these four teams. Awesome. Can't wait to see what happens.
Cue the Sunday Night Football music. Thanks, folks. Take care. Comb your hair.